Hello everyone, welcome to another Creative Crafts Niche video. Today I'm sharing with you a card that I'm putting together for Spiral Rocks 346 Thank You Challenge. She had a person named Eva send her a box full of goodies for her to do giveaways, and she is going to make a first challenge giveaway to be, well, not going, but she challenged us to make a thank you card for Eva, and if we go ahead and set it in, you get more how do you say it, more chances to win. So basically you would do a video response and make the card, and then if you send it in, you get more points. I'm going to put a link to her video so that you could get more information on that. What I did here, instead of cutting out all the pieces and piecing this Minnie Mouse together, I used my Disney's Mickey Mouse. It says Mickey and Friends, and you can find her on page, let's see, what page is she on? Okay, she's on page 92, and she looks like that. I used this feature, and what I did was I used my marker. This is the marker that comes with your Cricut, and you set it to the speed of 3 and the pressure of 2. And so I used this feature here to go ahead and mark up everything for me, and then I use this feature here to cut her out. Alright, so the reason why I did that is because these cuts from this cartridge take a while for you to piece these things together. Now I wanted to try out me coloring it in. So what I did was I pulled out my American Crafts stamp markers to color her in. Now I used this one for her mouth, and this is the cherry, and that's the 62620. Now for this part here from her bow, I used the cranberry, and that is 62617. And then to color her body, I used the black, which is 62600. And for her dress, I think there was like a mistake here, because when I picked out my markers in Utah, they were all just, you know, stacked up nicely in this little cubby. And I think I might have, someone might have changed the lids to this one, because it says powder and this is the 62605, and when I colored it in, it's nowhere near that color, even though when you use these markers, they tend to show up differently, you know, like a lighter or darker shade, actually a darker shade. And so this is a blue here, and as you can see, that came out like a green. And then this is actually the powder, 62605, and then this is the 62619 that I used for her bow and her shoes. And for her face, I actually used a different marker, because I started coloring her with a certain marker, but it didn't come out right. I started shading her in using this one, and this is the brown sugar, 62611, but I didn't like the color of the shading that it came out like. So what I did was I pulled out my memento markers here, and this is the desert sand, and I used this one to finish up coloring her face, and then I also went over the shading areas that I had previously shaded it, you know, did some shading in. I cut this out and traced it out with a marker on white cardstock. So it's regular white cardstock, and I mounted it on some foam squares, and I cut her out at 3 1/4 inches tall. So she's 3 1/4 from here to here, and from there to there she's 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 1/2 inches. Alright, now I'm also using this stamp set, and this is one of my favorite stamp sets. Is the Poly Clear CL 582 from Hero Arts, and I use this thank you right here, and I'm gonna use this Hugs and Kisses. I also, and so basically that was for this, the thank you, and then I use this to punch this out, and I don't know the name of this. I should have marked it down, but I didn't. But it's a EK Success punch. And then I also punched out one of these, so that will go nicely around that. And then I'm using this cardstock, and it's an A2 size cardstock, and it's cut at 1, 2, 3, 4 1/4 by 11, and then it's scored at 5 1/2, and it's gonna open landscape style. I cut out this piece of paper at 4 1/4 by 3 1/2 inches, and then I trimmed off this cardstock here from this same cardstock that I used for this, using the scallop diamond border punch, and that looks like that. And I cut this border piece at a 3/4 of an inch, and then I cut this out. This is 5 1/2 by 1 3/4, and what I did to emboss the ends of this was I used my Cuttlebug folder that's like this, and this is the Just My Type set, and we basically gonna adhere it down just like that, and then we're gonna put this one over it like that. Then we're gonna put her here, and then we're gonna position this here just like that. Okay, and then for the inside of the card, I cut this piece of cardstock, and it measures 4 1/4 by 2 3/4, and we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna stamp on here using my Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And I'm actually going to stamp down on a piece of scrap, because this is a new stamp and I want it to come out very nicely, and I want to test out to see how that looks. So that looks pretty nice. I'm going to stamp it one more time. Okay, and then now I'm going to go ahead and stamp the inside. I'm using my Fiskars stamp board here. I really don't know exactly how you call it, and I'm actually going to position this on the side Let me ink that up a bit more, because this tends to dry quickly. So that's going to look like that. Alright, go ahead and put this away. Alright, and then we're going to get started. So the inside is going to be very plain. And I'm going to use my This to That American Crafts Permanent Reliable Tape Runner. That's what it says here. And I'm not going to worry. Actually, I'm going to round off the corners. And I actually rounded off the corners on here using my Marby Uchiva corner rounder. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and position this just like that. That was my niece babysitting, so she's getting carried away making noises. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and adhere this down. And I'm going to try to get this as centered as possible. Sort of off. Okay. Then I'm gonna put her down. And I'm gonna try to center her. I know this is not the usual tweezers that I use. Okay, it's pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and position this first using my Zig 2-way pen. Oh. And then I'm going to just adhere this down here, and that'll be it. So this is my card. Thank you so much for watching. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. Actually, this cardstock, let me tell you where this one is from. I believe this is from... I had it. Okay, here we go. That is from the Punchy Florals Recollection paper pad, and that looks like that. Actually, it's not from here. What am I talking about? It's not from here. Where is that paper? It's the Preppy Beach. Here we go. It's the Preppy Beach, and that color looks like that. The Preppy Beach. And this is the 2012 Preppy Beach Collection paper pack cardstock. Thank you so much for watching. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. Bye.